Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Jordan Harbinger.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This is
East.
Sebastian Younger.
This is Rick Marotta.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
Hey, this is Skunk Baxter.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
And now, The Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Hello, music lovers, and welcome back to another album fight. And we have one heck of an album fight on our hands once again. Going a little bit more modern this time, well into the 20th and 21st century. Let's have Phil do our corner call so you guys can hear who's in the ring today. Phil.
Today's album fight is an 11-round battle between some fighters and an addiction. In the red corner, with a heavier and more raw sound than prior efforts, we have Foo Fighters with their 7th studio album from 2011, Wasting Light. And their opponent in the blue corner, one of the first alternative rock bands to break into the mainstream, we have Jane's Addiction with their first studio album from 1988, Nothing Shocking. Let's get ready to ramble. Take it away, judges.
That is right. We have the Foo Fighters taking on Jane's Addiction. This is going to be a heck of a fight. And I really think you guys are going to enjoy the music in the background as we ramble on, as we often do. We have Wasting Light, which is the 7th studio album from the Foo Fighters. And this also was Pat Smear's return to the Foo Fighters, which was pretty cool. There are a lot of guest artists throughout, so there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about as we go through track by track. Chris Novoselic, who most people know was the bass player for Nirvana, makes a guest appearance, as does Bob Mould, former singer of Husker Du, a seminal 80s alternative band. This is going up against one of my personal favorite albums of all time. I'm glad I'm not judging. Nothing Shocking by Jane's Addiction, their first major studio album. They did have a live release prior to that. And there's a lot to say about Nothing Shocking. It is a critical darling. It took a while to reach the masses. It was kind of a slow burn from a selling perspective. But Rolling Stone did rank it number 312 on its 500 greatest albums of all time. So 2 fantastic albums duking it out. Before we get over to our judges, let's hear from Richard on our pre-fight analysis. Richard, what are the numbers telling us?
And we have a very interesting fight this week. We've got an album from a band's later years versus a first album. And as most of you all know, I tend to favor first through third albums with most bands. But with that said, Wasting Light is a very popular album. In fact, we have that classic matchup of very popular album versus very critically acclaimed first album with Jane's Addiction's Nothing Shocking. So running everything through the patent pending numbers process, this came out interesting. It's on paper and on numbers, this is close, or it can be a significant defeat, and I'll explain this. Wasting Light gets 7 out of 15 possible points. Jane's Addiction's Nothing Shocking gets 5 out of 15 possible points, and there are 3 ties. So out of 15 points, it's 7-5-3, which could mean an 8-7 win for Nothing Shocking, or it could mean a relatively significant or easy win for Wasting Light. But when you break this down, it gets really interesting because 6 of the 7 points for Wasting Light come from the popular type categories, and they only get 1 critical category, whereas Nothing Shocking's 5 points all come from critical acclaim. The ties go 2 to critics and 1 to popular. So, given the history in the Break It Down show album fights, it usually tends to go towards the popular album. So my guess is we've probably got a 5-4-2 fight. Again, that's 2 ties. We don't typically have tie rounds, although you can kind of give those 2 to rounds that might be 10-8s and stuff like that. So this could be anybody's fight. I'm guessing, and I'm going to predict here, Wasting Light's going to slightly win this fight. It could be a split decision, or it could be a blowout, but I'm guessing it's probably going to be pretty close. So prediction, 5-4-2, Wasting Light. Back to you guys.
Yeah, Richard, introspective as always. This is going to be a curious one. Let's see what the judges say. We all know the human element is really important in album fight.
Hey, this is Pete. Real quick, I just want to let you guys know we are proud to announce our official support of Save the Brave, a certified nonprofit 501c3 with a charter of helping veterans with post-traumatic stress. Here's how you can help. Go to savethebrave.com, click on the link on the website, and my recommendation is this. Subscribe. Give them $20 a month. You've got subscriptions that you can turn off right now that you're not using that are $20 a month. Swap that out. Get involved. Let's help these folks out.
Let's see what the judges say. We all know the human element is really important in album fight. So let's introduce the human element. And I'll start with Damjan, who is making his first appearance on mic, but he has been involved with album fight for quite a while, well over a couple of months now, as one of our producers. Damjan, what are your thoughts going into this?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm excited to be probably the first international judge on the album fights, since I'm coming from Europe, specifically the Balkans. I'm from North Macedonia, and I'm the producer of the Break It Down show, also a co-producer with you on the album fights. So it's my fault for any not removed So yeah, so also I work as a music editor in local radio stations, so I'm in charge with the music we play in the last 6 years. So if by any chance you were in North Macedonia and you heard 92.9 FM, it was definitely rolling Foo Fighters in the background. And when Mike asked me to judge this one, when I saw Foo Fighters in the title of the email, I already knew my scores on the scorecard. That's because I've never heard a song from Jane's Addiction. And when I did a quick research of the band and heard some of their songs, actually I started spinning them in my radio station. So this being said, not only because this is my first album fight, I had a hard time choosing the scores of the songs, so both bands sounds really good, so I'm excited to do this.
Well, we're excited to have you, and I will say personally it has been a pleasure working with you on producing these album fight episodes. You've been just doing a fantastic job, so thank you for that. We also have another first-time judge, Adam Lynn. Adam, what are your thoughts going into this fight?
Thank you for having me, partner. I appreciate it so much. I grew up with Nothing Shocking in my radio, and, you know, I've just enjoyed listening to them for forever. Foo, when they came out, they kind of took the world by storm. And you're right, this was a slow burn album from Jane's Addiction. So I never really thought to put these two up together. When I saw what we were doing, I got immediately excited, started spinning them again, and I'm ready to dig in. This is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, they've been on perma rotation on my Spotify list for the last week, prepping for this fight. Finally, we have our veteran of the group, John Hedstrom, who is doing his second album fight, aka Hedstrom Bacon. Hedstrom, how are you feeling about this fight?
This is a fantastic battle, and once again, it's great to be on. You know, for a straight-up head-to-head battle, that mixtape semifinal was great. And just a quick note, Damjan, I'm from Canada, so this is a multi-international show, I guess. There we go. So just a little background. As far as internet goes, I produce and co-host Stucknut Radio, which is a monthly internet show that's broadcast on Periscope on the last Tuesday of every month. It runs through stucknut.com. Long story about the name, don't ask. You can go to stucknut.com and find it out. It's a Jim Rome fan site dedicated to archiving the jungle, which is, you know, the Jim Rome. That's the nickname of the Jim Rome show. So I really enjoy doing that. So this is really piggybacking off of that. So I'm loving being a part of this. So thank you again for inviting me back. I'm also an avid scuba diver and basement musician. In fact, yesterday I did a 90-minute river dive in about 4 or 5 knots of current. Visibility was poor, and I had both of these albums going through my head. I'm not making this up. I had both of these albums back to back going through my head yesterday as I'm trying to make my way through this really poor visibility in about 50 feet of water. So I had to go back today just before the show and re-listen to some things because I had to rethink some things. Just really quickly, my initial reaction was that Jane's has this hands down. In Your Honor 2005 was the last Foo Fighters album that I ever purchased. I mean, I even skipped 2007 release, Echoes, Silence, Patience, and Grace. This album that the Foos put out, Wasting Light, I don't think anybody mentioned, but they had that documentary Back and Forth that showed how they recorded it analog in Dave Grohl's house. Just a fantastic documentary, and I was glad to be able to get more in-depth into this album. So I'll apologize ahead of time. I'm going to make several references to other songs, artists, but I feel that they're definitely relevant. This is a great battle. To me, it's a battle of a mature band at the top of their game versus Jane's Addiction, their first major label album for a band that was basically really looking for, I don't know if they were looking for recognition at the time, but probably the people that were trying to pump them up were looking for that recognition for them. So fantastic battle, and I'm glad to be here.
Well, I am glad to have you here, and we have rambled enough. Let's get into the fight. We have introduced our fighters, they've touched gloves, and now is time for the battle. Let us start off with round 1. Bridge Burning versus Up the Beach. This is going to be a fun one, and Damien, you get to start us off here.
Okay, Up the Beach from Jane's Addiction. I can sense their idea of an intro for the album, but personally I don't like melancholic start on albums if the band is meant to rock hard in the next songs of the album. So I really like the sound of the guitar in the song, but my god, that is stupid bass line to put in a song. I really don't like it. Like, this song couldn't keep my attention, so I'm not even sure if this should be a song anyway. And that goes up against Bridge Burning. So I think this is a great start of an album, so you know what will hit you in the next hour or so, like Dave's vocals along with Taylor's drumming, and personally I can feel the comeback of the guitarist Desmere in the band. So I think this is a great introduction on the album. Just like Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit is a perfect introduction to Nevermind. So I guess Dave Grohl learned something about track listing from his early days. So without further ado, 10-9 for Foo Fighters.
And we are off to a good start here. We have Adam going up second. Adam, agree, disagree?
Oh, Damien, I'm going to have to go totally the opposite way on that one. But from a standpoint that, for me, any band that's going to come out and open an album with basically an instrumental song, especially one that really isn't nationally or well known, the amount of balls it takes to do that is ridiculous. And in my notes here, I have Sexy, Mean, Beautiful, because that's really, to me, what kind of that song is. It's sexy, it's mean, and it's beautiful at the end. It's a gorgeous opener for a very, I don't know, painterly, album. I think, they really paint with sound in this album, I feel like, in several spots. Whereas compared to Foo, it is a great opener. Don't get me wrong. For a rock album, it's a great opener. It's a frantic, frenetic opener. The build-up at the beginning is a great start to the song. And then they make the two notes that they continuously play at the end of the song sound really good. Like it's because they waddle back and forth for a while. So I went the opposite way on this one. I went 10-9 because I really like both songs, but I feel like Nothing Shocking starts off with the lead. 10-9 with Up the Beach taking it.
All right, good to hear. For me, this was a very close one. This was we're already going to use an overused phrase on Album Fight. This was a cut the baby for me. I'm glad I'm just a robo scorer this time. But yeah, this is a tough one for me, and it looks like we need Hedstrom to give us a tiebreaker here.
Glad to do it. I have to agree with Adam on this one. For me, Bridge Burning as an opening track, initially, I did have to rethink this after my dive yesterday. As an opening track, initially I thought it sort of handicapped the album, to be honest with you, as Grohl was basically overdoing the screaming, and it was almost like trying too hard to open up that album. I totally understand what Damien's saying about opening up an album nice and hard and whatnot. This track to me, though, sounds like a leftover from In Your Honor. That's just my own personal listening taste. Up the Beach, on the other hand, it really sets the mood for the album. I think it truly opens up the album. I actually like the bass line, and I like the build-up with the minimal vocals and the melodic guitar. And I'm going to say this like almost on every tune. Navarro is just a killer guitar player, and he just does fantastic work there. I had to go 10-9 Up the Beach. Basically, that song, it reminds me of when you go to a concert and they've got a smaller band would have like a bed sheet or something, but it's just this big screen in front, and then there's that melodic music in the background, maybe some background lighting, and then the band kicks in and that screen just drops, and there you go with the concert. And that's what Up the Beach does to me.
All right. So we have a round in the books and a tough one to start things off. I would say, Damien, that you having heard Jane's Addiction for the first time, whereas the rest of us were more familiar with the album, it really is a mood setter. And if you've heard the album a dozen times, it kind of gets you ready for the rest. Whereas when it's your first time, I can see where it's a little underwhelming to kick off an album. So totally makes sense. And that's why we have judges. That's why the human factor is so important in these. Let us roll on into round 2, where we have Rope versus Ocean Size. And Adam, you get to start us off this round.
Okay, and I had to rethink this as well. I did not go diving, but I had to rethink some of these scores as well. Initially, I had this one scored 10-9 in favor of Rope, but after re-listening to it again this morning, I flipped my scores, actually. Rope is incredible. It opens up, it's hard charging. The drum and bass work really pushes the song forward. The syncopated rhythms are all super tight, and it's got a killer feel to it, and I dig the minor key. But after revisiting it again this morning, I went back to Ocean Size. The bass line in that is so good. The lyrics are absolutely killer, and I'm with Hedstrom on this, honestly. And it's like Navarro is just slayed those solos, man. He crushes them. The feel and dynamic changes throughout the song really help it build and release, and I felt like it was just as far as musicianship goes, I felt like it really took it. And so I flipped the number 10-9 for Ocean Size, taking that one.
Good, Adam. That's awesome. And let's hear from Hedstrom to see if he agrees with you or not. Hedstrom, what's your assessment here, round 2?
Yeah, well, I agreed with Adam on the first opening track there. I'm going to disagree on this one, but it's a light disagree because he was back and forth on this, so it's very, very close. Rope being the first big single hit on the album, it's guitar heavy, and to me, and I'm going to go make these references, this is a tribute to 90s era Rush. Now, just go back and listen to it. The Foos they've got huge influence with Rush. Dave Grohl actually inducted Rush into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They've played with Rush. There was even a rumor out there that Dave Grohl was going to replace Neil Peart on tour because he's completely retired now from drumming. But just getting back to the song, Taylor Hawkins, he's channeling his inner Neil Peart, because if you listen to the ride cymbal work during the chorus, that is pure Neil Peart. And you hear the hidden cowbell. If you go back and listen to that, it's a very, very Rush laden song. And I'm a huge Rush fan, so I was really leaning towards this one, but also being one of the big hits on the album. Very, very tough. Now, Ocean Size, just as Adam had said, just phenomenal work. It's a solid follow-up to the opening track, and not just for the title, you're going up the beach and into the ocean there. It's subtle yet heavy, and this was a tough battle, but I had to give it 10-9 for Rope.
Okay, so we have another tie, and this time Damien gets to be our tiebreaker. Damien, who you gonna side with this time?
Okay, so here I'm with Adam. So Rope, I think this was the first single from Wasting Light.
Yes.
And this is a classic Foo Fighters song. Like, don't get me wrong, I love this song, and I remember it since it came out because I was a teenager, like 17 or 18 years. And I remember this rocking around. So also love the video because the video is so simple and good that actually I think a local band from Macedonia was inspired with this video, and they also play on white background with only their silhouettes visible. I really enjoyed that. But with Ocean Size, oh my god, I was so surprised after the first one. from the album. Like, I really love the vocals. Like, Perry reminds me of young Iggy Pop in this song, and I just love his energy. And also, I was surprised by Dave Navarro guitars, because I don't like him when he was on the Red Hot Chili Peppers, so this was good. And actually, I played this one to a friend, and he said, man, I'll rock this while I'm riding my longboard. So Rope is definitely another classic riff, chorus, solo chorus song by Foos. So I gotta give it to Jane's Addiction 10-9 for surprising me.
That is fair enough. That is definitely fair enough. And that finishes off round 2 for us. I will have to say that's a great observation about Navarro and Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't think it has anything to do with talent. I think it had everything to do with fit. It wasn't right at all. When Frusciante came back, it was just so triumphant. So, but that's for another fight. We need to get the Chili Peppers into the ring.
Yeah, I think Dave's drum work on Rope is probably the best drum work on the album. I think, honestly, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Right now, we're 2 rounds in and 2 close rounds. So this is going to be fun, as we all knew it would be. But we're digressing again, and it's only the 3rd round. Let's go into round 3. Dear Rosemary versus Had a Dad. And Hedstrom, you get to start us off for this round.
Yeah, Had a Dad is a classic Jane's Addiction jam. It's a great riff. Again, Navarro nailing his solo. It's certainly got that Jane's Addiction jump to it, and I just love this tune. And it's kind of funny because we have listed, Foo Fighters first and then Jane's Addiction. So the way it's listed as the, this versus this, and as a habit, you kind of tend to listen to the, I'll listen to the Foo Fighters song first, then I'm going to listen to Jane's Addiction song first. And maybe you can handicap your prediction with that. I listened to Had a Dad first because I'm just like, I got to listen to this tune first. Then I went to Dear Rosemary. To me, and I'm going to go to my comparisons again, this sounds like a mashup of Hendrix's version of All Along the Watchtower. Just listen to the beginning. And if any of you are familiar with the Raconteurs, Jack White, Brandon Benson collaboration, it sounds like their Steady as She Goes song from their 2006 debut, Broken Boy Soldiers. Yes, he's got Bob Mould, legend that he is, on backing vocals, but I find that this is an average Foo Fighters effort at best. It basically, to me, sounds like a Dave Grohl solo project, and he's bringing Mould in, and they're doing the collaborative vocals. It's just not Foos enough for me, unfortunately. So, and the juggernaut that Had a Dad is, being that it is classic Jane's Addiction, I had to go 10-9 for Had a Dad over Dear Rosemary.
I'm rethinking my score, but I don't change numbers once I put them in.
I wouldn't want to do that to you.
And again, I'm a CompuBox, so I don't count anyways this time around. Damien, you are up second in this round. So agree, disagree?
Let's agree to disagree. Like, Had a Dad by Jane's Addiction. Now, if you ask me, this should have been the intro song of the album. Like, this would be a great introduction, even though the snare at the beginning is the cheesiest sound ever. But what you're gonna do is the 88, the fall of the hard rock, and the beginning of grunge music. So I like the song, but there's a part where Dave Navarro probably plucks his guitar before having his second solo, and this sounds kind of offbeat. I'm not sure what's that, but it's pretty weird, and I don't think that's on purpose, and I don't think that's the greatest idea to leave it as it is. This song goes versus Dear Rosemary, where backing vocals sings Bob Mould from Husker Du, and I think this sounds like a Husker Du song with Foo Fighters chorus, and I really love Husker Du, so this is an amazing duet between two living legends, and for me this song wins this round 10-9.
Well, you found some nits to pick to come up with a winner, and I have to applaud that. I was also a big fan of Husker Du. That was my probably high school and college years for me, because I'm an old fart. So it was hard for me to vote against Bob Mould. Adam, you need to break the tie again. This time you get to do it.
Man, this was a tough one. Dear Rosemary, it's the lyrics are fantastic. I agree with you guys in the fact that I feel like it did have a different feel from the rest of the album, that it did kind of have that mashup between kind of a Husker Du and Foo song, kind of a Husker Foo thing. I'm not, I don't know. But going up against Have a Dad with I am kind of a fan of the machine gun drumming start, the intro there. Dave's guitar work is just killer with the stop starts there in the middle and the build in the middle of the song. The solo work's fantastic. I felt like this one was just a little bit stronger musically for me, and it fits the feel of the album for what James was doing just a little bit better than maybe Dear Rosemary. So I gave the edge on this one to Nothing Shocking. I got Had a Dad 10-9 over Dear Rosemary.
So we have another tiebreaker here in favor of Jane's. Fantastic. So let's head to round 4, where we have White Limo going up against Ted Just Admit It. This is a heck of a round. Damien, you get to start us off.
Okay, I grew up as a metalhead, and this is the most metal Foo Fighters song ever, and I just love it. They should work on a thrash metal album. I'm sure that this is all Dave's idea, because I think at the time he had a heavy metal project with Lemmy from Motorhead, Max Cavalera, and Kronos from Venom. The project was called Probot. So I think this was his idea. And the video is definitely a joke. Like, there's lip syncing that is out of sync. It's old school VHS style. And the driver of the limo is Lemmy from Motorhead. Like, what could go wrong here? Like, I just love it. And this goes versus Ted Just Admit It. And I don't know, this song sounds like a jam session turned into an unfinished song. The song is pretty long. I think it's 6 or 7 minutes. And to be honest, I couldn't wait to finish. I don't know. I just don't buy it. 10-9 Foo Fighters.
Okay, Adam, what are your thoughts here?
All right, Damien, I feel you, man. I think Ted's Just Admit It. I love this song. Don't get me wrong. I love this song. It is the soundscape, though. You know, they pull the title of the album from this song. You know, Nothing Shocking. I mean, I love the bass line. It's super chill. But going up against White Limo, and honestly, in my notes here, I just have jump around and break stuff written down. Like that. What it makes me want to do. I love this song, and it crushes. And I agree. I mean, it's like the most metal song on this album, so I went with it. I had to let it ride. 10-9 for White Limo.
Okay, so we actually have 2 judges agreeing already in round 4. Hedstrom, are you going to support the other 2 guys, or are you going to be contrarian again?
No, I'll make it a trifecta. I agree 100% with what Damien said. I literally had to throw up my notes. He mentioned Probot. He mentioned, you know, the metal roots that Dave Grohl was channeling, so I'm not going to get into that. But I'm kind of contradicting myself from the last round, because I said that I thought that Dear Rosemary sounded like a solo project from Dave, and I kind of bagged on it a little bit. But this one, to channel his metal roots, is just perfect. White Limo's my favorite song on the album. It's just basically, like Adam had said, it's a solid rip your head off Foo's jam with a twist. So I loved it. Ted Just Admit It. It's a pseudo funky jam, then it's a rock jam. The song to me is just confused. You hear Perry Farrell, I think, at the beginning. He's like imitating a trumpet. The song is just creepy, but it fits the title. I mean, it is about Bundy, right? It is about Ted Bundy, apparently. So I didn't know that. I had no idea. I thought they were talking about a friend Ted, and then you kind of listen to it and you read up on it and you hear this sort of thing.
Yeah, there's actually a Ted Bundy quote at the beginning. That's not someone else talking. That's Ted freaking Bundy, which has gotten a lot of criticism to James over the years for having it.
Right, like it's not like they're. I'm not even going to get into it, but I don't think they're supporting the guy. They're just whatever. But to me, this song it sounds like a Primus song that lacks the stellar bass playing of Les Claypool. To be honest, sorry boys, the heroin just wasn't working on this one. I got to go 10-9 White Limo. This was almost a knockout for me, to be honest. But I had to go 10-9 for White Limo.
Okay, so we have our first unanimous round. Again, the CompuBox numbers don't count. It's not unanimous with CompuBox, but it is unanimous with the important scores, which is the judges. So that finishes up round 4 for us and takes us into round 5. We have Ariane Drea versus Standing in the Shower, ... Thinking. Adam, you're first here.
Okay. On this one, I went... I really enjoyed the drums and Standing in the Shower. The groove there, that loping groove, man. a world music kind of feel to it. That backbeat is fantastic. Guitar work again is just, man, I don't even know. Dave was on one whenever they cut this album. It's just fantastic work he's doing. Whereas Arlandria, to me, it's a little droney. The builds and releases are good, but to me, it's just, it hits me personally a little flat. I went 10-9 standing in the shower.
Okay. Let's see if the other judges will agree with you. Maybe we get another unanimous round. Hedstrom, this is going to happen?
I got to break it right away there. I got to disagree. I got to disagree with Adam. And I'm going back and forth on, once again, I'm just going back and forth on these battles. I mean, one for one, and I do the same thing here. It's a battle of jams that could go either way, though. It was a close battle for sure. Standing in the shower thinking it's another classic Jane's Addiction jam. I'm going to continue to say that. I'm getting redundant, but it is. Simple repeating lines of lyrics, and Navarro just killing it over top of a tight back line that Stephen Perkins and Eric Avery are laying down. Arlandria, it's a catchy, rhythmic, rhyming tune. Great lyrics, classic Foo Fighters jam. The thing I liked about this that really didn't or put it over the top for me was that Grohl didn't overdo the delivery, meaning he's not over screaming, he's not trying to do something vocally that he really shouldn't be doing, and it complements the song. So very, very tight battle. I had to go 10-9 Arlandria.
Okay, so we have another tie to break. Damien, you get the honors this time.
Yeah, I'm with Hedstrom. Like, Arlandria, I think it's a reference to the neighborhood in Alexandria, Virginia, where Dave Grohl moved with his mother after his parents divorced. So he also mentions this neighborhood in other Foo Fighters song. The song is called Headwires. So I think there's a big connection between Dave and Virginia. He also recorded the third Foo Fighters album in Virginia, The Chill Out from Los Angeles. So I also heard a live version of this song on YouTube. It's on Letterman's show, and I don't know, they sound just like in the studio. This just tells how talented these guys are. And on that performance, they are in suits looking like the Beatles in Love Me Do, and that is so cool. And standing in the shower thinking, I think this is another song that you can find in my radio playlist after I heard this album, because it has some ska guitar vibe with experimental parts, which I really like. And the lyrics is nothing special, but I think that makes this song good. So it's a teenage song. I also like the random ending of the song, but obviously I'll go for Foo Fighters 10-9.
Okay, so we have another Foo Fighters win here. And that takes us to round 6, where we have These Days, which I'm going to throw a little plug in here. This is probably one of my favorite Foo Fighters songs. Going up against Summertime Rolls. Damien, you get to start us off in this round.
Yeah, Summertime Rolls is definitely the beginning of grunge music. Like, when I heard this song, I was like, is this Mother Love Bone? That's one of the first grunge bands ever. Like, the flow of the music is so magical, along with Perry's amazing singing. And after hearing the studio version, I had to check out some live versions on YouTube. And I figured out that this is a live band. Like, they sound far better live than on studio. And also Flea's on tour with them during that live performances. So I have nothing else to say about this other than I wish I was around in LA in the 90s to go on their concert. But the reality was that I was a baby and I was in Europe. So and These Days by Foo Fighters, I think this is Dave Grohl's favorite song. That's what I read, but this is definitely not my favorite Dave song. But it's not a bad song, but I find Summertime Rolls more inspiring here. So 10-9 for Jane's Addiction.
Okay, finding nits to pick, that is important. Adam.
Oh man, this one was really hard for me, guys. Not gonna lie, this one was tough. I'm with Mike on this. I love These Days. It's a great song. it's a great song. It's forward charging, it's well constructed, and it's a great cut. And I think it's one of the shiners on this album. It's really a high point, I feel like, on this album. Summertime Rolls is amazing, though. I love the open. It's got a transcendent sound in areas up to it. I mean, it builds fantastically. I love it. It's a mood song, you know. But at the same time, I had to give the edge to These Days. I went 10-9 These Days. Tough one, and it's a tough squeaker round.
And surprise, surprise, we have another tie to break.
I know, right?
I was anticipating this was going to be the case. These are two fantastic albums and just chock full of great songs. Hedstrom, you get to be the tiebreaker. I hope you're going to be the tiebreaker.
At this point in both of the albums and in the fight, this is where the Foo Fighters start to distance themselves from Jane's Addiction, to be honest with you. So, These Days, fantastic song. I agree with you, Mike. Now, when I first listened to it, though, I'm listening to that little opening riff. I'm hearing a little Blink 182 there, and I'm going, I don't know about this. I said, but the band really, really shines in this song. And if you watch that documentary Back and Forth about when that features them recording this album, you see Nate Mendel's solid bass, so he's practicing doing that. There's a hilarious part in there where Chris Shiflett is playing this kind of, and it's his sound. It's this jangly guitar sound, and it sounds like the opening riff to Purple Rain, and Grohl's in the background going Purple Rain, and just it's a hilarious too. It's a hilarious little clip there. And then Pat Smear just brings his super heavy Foo riffing into the song, and Grohl actually mentioned it in the documentary, and he says when you get these guys together and when everything's balanced, it's the Foo Fighters, and that's this song. Great tune. Summertime Rolls, on the other hand, to me, it was just, it sounded like a reprise of the Up the Beach bass line. Like I don't know, Dave and Perry were off somewhere doing something, whatever it might have been. You can take 3 wild stabs at it, and you only get one of them.
And I think wild stab is probably a good analogy.
Yeah, it's a good choice of words, I guess. Right? I'll give myself a little ding and a little notch for that one. It just sounds like Perry just came up with the lyrics, after he was done pissing on himself in the shower on the song before. It sounds more like a Porno for Pyro song to me than anything. I had to go easily 10-9 These Days in this battle.
Okay, and finishing off round 6 gets us to the halfway point. And as we often do in album fight, we want to do a quick look and see where the scores are lining up. So right now, after 6 rounds, we have the Foo Fighters with an uncomfortable 2-point lead from the official scoring cards. It's practically dead even when you look at it. Nobody is really having one band take away score-wise. So, Hedstrom, what are you thinking halfway through? Is this the fight you thought it was going to be?
As I mentioned in the opening, no. It's a lot closer than I thought it would be. Initially, I saw these two, and I'm like, you know what? I'm a big Foo Fighters fan, but I just sort of lost touch with them a little bit after the In Your Honor album. Always a big Jane's Addiction fan, and I really thought they were going to run away with this, but surprising to me, as close as it is, and I'm actually at this point leaning towards the Foos, and very surprising from my initial reaction when I saw the battle.
And Damien, being a relatively new fan of Jane's Addiction, how are you feeling about how close this match is so far?
I just knew I'll mostly vote for Foo Fighters, being a fan, but then I was really surprised by Jane's Addiction with their tunes. You'll see in the other rounds, and you'll get surprised too. They're a pretty good band, yeah.
Yeah, and Adam, what has to happen for one band to pull away from the other in the final 5 rounds, you think?
I think it's going to come down to, musicianship and artistry, for me. I'm with Hedstrom, man. I honestly thought that this was going to be a relatively, close to a slam dunk for Jane's Addiction. And then after going back and revisiting the Foo Fighters, this album, it's just way tighter than I anticipated. I totally agree. And it's going to come down the stretch here. And this, I think, where both bands are going to try to create some separation down the home stretch.
And the nice thing is you're seeing that the back and forth where you and I are fans of Jane's initially, and then Damien, props to him. I mean, when he says Jane's Addiction is a pretty good band, that's high praise, I guess. I don't know Damien, but I'm guessing that's pretty damn high praise from Damien when he says that's a pretty good band, knowing full well that he seems to be leaning towards the Foos. And then when you and I, Adam, were leaning towards Jane's Addiction, it just goes to show when you do the work, when you get in there and you break these down, to use the coin the term, it really opens up your eyes to it. You enjoy the music more, and that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. So good.
Yeah, we haven't been using the hashtag as much as we should lately, but when we do some pre-work on social media, we always use hashtag do the work, because you cannot do an album fight without actually listening to these songs a couple of times and really digging in deep. And talking about digging in deep, it's time to get back into the fight itself, and we are going to head into round 7, where we have Back and Forth versus Mountain Song and Hedstrom. You get to lead us off on round 7.
Very fitting title for a song, Back and Forth, because this battle is back and forth. Very close battle of band-defining tunes. Again, Back and Forth is a solid song, solid writing from Grohl. It's got the hook, it's got the riff, it's got the catchy lyrics. It is a solid Foo Fighters tune. Now, that being said, go to Mountain Song. Mountain Song is just a juggernaut. Love this song. And I got to homer out a little bit here. Back when listening to the Jay Moore Sports days, this was actually used as a last segment bumper music for Jay Moore Sports when he went into his rapid fire segment. For those of you who used to listen to Jay Moore, I think he was on between like 2015 and 2013 and 2016 maybe on Fox Sports Radio. A little plug for them, but this song has the right amount of crunch. The vocals are pure Perry Farrell. And to me, being a basement drummer, Stephen Perkins' drumming is just brilliant in this. And then just get back to the Jay Moore Sports thing. Like I said, I thought every time I hear this song, it really, really gets me going. And that's what it used to do for us for that last rapid fire segment for Jay Moore Sports. So homering out a little bit, but basically making what I think is a legitimate argument. You've got a great Foo Fighters tune, but it's actually nothing really, really over the top going up against just a juggernaut of a Jane's Addiction song. So I had to go 10-9 Mountain Song.
Yeah, good versus great. Those make some of the best rounds, actually. Damien, you're up next. What do you think of Hedstrom's score, and do you agree or not?
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, Mountain Song, this is some masterpiece. Like, I guess this is what skaters were listening in the 90s. So you know it's good. Like, that vocal solo at the end of the song is so awesome. I mean, Perry was a genius, and I don't know what's better here, like, is that vocal solo or Navarro's dirty riff, or even that bass line at the beginning. I mean, when I hear that, da-dum, 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 taka-taka, I can't have chills. Like, I want to play this so loud that my old neighbors will start wearing Jane's Addiction t-shirts after hearing this song. So, I mean, yeah, and also a little trivia here. The video was featured in an episode of Beavis and Butthead, one of my favorite MTV shows. So it's a win. Like, I think this song crushes any Foo Fighters song from Wasting Light, along with Back and Forth, 10-9 Jane's Addiction.
Yeah, I should do some research on how many different soundtracks and TV shows Mountain Songs appeared in, because I know I've heard it, or at least the riff, a lot in media. So, great call out. Adam, are you going to make it unanimous?
It's got to be unanimous, for sure. I mean, Mountain Song is a rock anthem. I mean, it's something that it's like rally around your family kind of stuff. It's one of those songs that every time you hear it come on, you want to jump around and smash things. It's fantastic. And every time I hear it now, I think of Jay Moore Sports. I mean, every time I hear it now, I think of that. I think of the outro, man. It's just so good. And as good a song as Back and Forth is, and it's a good song, it would take, I don't know what it would take to knock out Mountain Song. I mean, this round could easily be like 10-8 just because it's Mountain Song, but I got it 10-9. Just, it was going to smash whatever it came against. ridiculous, man.
I think that gives respect to the Foos by doing that. You're exactly right. I thought the same thing. It could have gone 10. Could have gone 1080s.
Yeah, for sure. It could have been 10-8 in a lesser song. I know you guys are all talking about what Mountain Song reminds you of. It reminds me, and here's another brag moment for me. I saw the original Lollapalooza, the first tour that Jane's Addiction headlined.
All right, stop right there.
I remember
that's just not fair.
I remember this song as being one of the highlights of the show. It was just amazing.
What a fantastic memory. Yeah. That's awesome.
And I'm glad you survived. That's awesome. Well done.
Yeah, it was at Shoreline Amphitheater here in the Bay Area. And I'd have to go look it up to see who else was playing. I think Jane's Addiction was headlining. I think Living Colour was playing. And Ice-T with Body Count. I'm trying to remember the other two bands.
Oh, man.
It was
fantastic. Fishbone, maybe?
No, it wasn't. It was not Fishbone.
Okay.
I've got to look it up, trying to remember what the other bands were, but it was just amazing. Jane's put on a hell of a show. You're right, Damien. They are just a great live band. Okay, bragging done. So round 7 was truly unanimous in that not only did the 3 judges agree, but also the CompuBox judges agreed. So Mountain Song just killed it here. And heading into round 8, we have A Matter of Time versus Idiot's Rule. So let's see if this trend continues. Adam, you get to kick us off.
For me, it does continue. Horns. Idiot's Rule. Horns. I mean, this is where, to me, Jane starts kind of separating themselves, bringing in the horns, that funky beat. This is almost a funk song. It's fantastically well made. It's different flavor on this album, and I think it again shows their range, I think, a little bit more, and their ability also to orchestrate as well, because every band can bring in horns. It's different altogether to have really good horn back lines and back riffs behind the band, and these are all really salty. I love it, and I'm a horn player anyway, so they win this one for me. I love Matter of Time. It's a great song. To me, it gets a bit repetitive, but so I had to go with Idiot Rules 10-9 on this one.
Okay, could not disagree. Cannot disagree at all. Hedstrom, how about you? Can you disagree?
You know, just when I thought that the Foo Fighters were taking this battle away, you know, I'm agreeing 100%. Adam's just saying, you know, love the horns in that. I find that Idiot's Rule actually carries the same sort of rhythmic quality. You know, being that I listen to the drums and bass a lot more than really anything else, it actually carries the same sort of quality as the following tune, Jane says. And obviously we'll get into that. And we're supposed to keep these separate, but I love the way it kind of segues into that. And this is what separates greats, when they can pull something like this off. And this is still a young band at this time, and they're able to do that. Great job against another quality, solid Dave Grohl pop rock song. I mean, it's radio friendly. You could throw this song on any of their previous albums, save for maybe their debut album, and it's going to work. But as Adam said, it's nothing spectacular when it's going up against Idiot's Rule that has a little bit of a twist to it. So I agree with Adam 100%. Idiot's Rule 10-9.
Okay, Damien, you're up. Are you going to make it unanimous for a second round in a row?
Yeah, we are starting to agree. So A Matter of Time, I don't really like this song. Sounds too cheesy for me, almost like Blink-182 playing on birthday parties. Like, if you compare that with Idiot's Rule, I was surprised so much because actually Flea plays trumpet here, and Dr. Mad Vibe is on saxophone. That's the guy from Fishbone. So this can't go wrong. Like, it's so different in any way with any other song from this album. Like, that groove in the horn section, and I don't know how this has less than 100,000 views on YouTube, and Despacito has 6.4 million views. Like, seriously, people, the lyrics is so simple. Yeah. And the lyrics is true. Like, I guess the idiots that rule always win, so 10-9 for Jane's Addiction.
Yeah, people often forget that Flea, not only being one of the best bass players in existence, is also a heck of a horn player. So great call out there. And that finishes up round 8 with another unanimous, truly unanimous, including the CompuBox score this time, for Idiot's Rule. That takes us to round 9, where we have Miss the Misery going up against a juggernaut of a song from Jane's Addiction, Jane Says. Damien, you get to lead us off.
Okay, let's make third in a row. Yeah, this is Jane's probably their most popular song ever. And I feel that it's timeless. Like, it's a 2-chord song that sounds really nice. This one is a proof that you don't have to complicate songs with 6 different guitars and drum solo and whatever to sound good. Now, I know that Dave Navarro is just another self-obsessed guitarist, but this is a great example that you can make things simple and sound good. Like, I guess they'll never reproduce this. I don't know if they are still active, but this happens to be totally unpredictable. Like, this is a perfect song. And I read that they end their concerts with this tune, and this is a great choice for ending a concert. Now, I don't really care much about Miss the Misery because, I don't know, it sounds boring to me. I really forgot that this song exists. Like, the only part that reminds me of the song holds somehow that post-chorus part where Dave sings, "Don't change your mind, you're wasting light," like he's mentioning the album name. And I'm not really impressed. Jane's Addiction 10-9.
Okay, yeah, I should have mentioned, this is right around where we would call out the Burford round, named so by Scott Burford, where ear fatigue can come into play on certain albums. And I think it sounds, at least from Damien, that he was getting a bit of ear fatigue on Foo. Adam, how about you? Burford round?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, especially after following Matter of Time, where it just seriously has meh lyrics. You get Miss the Misery, and the bass line's good. It's a solid song. It's a solid song. But again, it's going up against, this is unstoppable force right here with Jane Says. It's I mean, yeah, I totally agree with Damien. It's a simpler song. They bring it down, but to me, and I love this song, the subject matter of what they attack on this album all the way through it is so just in your face compared to a lot of what else was going on out there in the mainstream anything at that point. And so for me, I feel like just not only musically but content wise, they could almost rename this entire album just Guts and Nuts, because that's what it took to put this album together. That's what they're showing through this whole thing. As a young band, the amount of 0 F's given is incredible, and I love this song. So 10-9, Jane Says, and it could have been 10-8 again.
Yeah, oh, by the way, it's perfectly fine to swear on the show, so, if you want to say I don't give a fuck, you can say that.
Well, just in case my kids want to listen later, I don't want them to say, "Daddy, you cursed."
Okay, while I'm thinking ahead that Hedstrom might agree with these guys, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so Hedstrom, you're up.
This battle actually did make me think. Going back to what I said at the beginning, where initially you look at these two songs, you just look at the titles, and you think, man, Jane Says has it. This is probably going to be a knockout or a knockdown. I listened to Miss the Misery, and again, I'm hearing that Rush influence, and I'm being a huge Rush fan, I got a little more interested. So I'm already bumping it up a little bit. I love the heavy phasing effect in the song. It's another riff that has that Alex Lifeson influence to it. You go back and listen to Lifeson's tone on Vapor Trails and Snakes and Arrows. That's what it sounds like. And to me, that really pays tribute to them and the influence that they had on the Foo Fighters. It's a pure modern rock song. I have to disagree with Damien here. It is actually a pure modern rock song, and I don't think it's as boring as both Adam and Damien thought it was, but that's just personal preference, and I think that's the homer in me liking the Rush sound in it. That being said, Jane Says, it's the subdued Jane's Addiction. If I'm not mistaken, it was never released as a single. Does anybody know? Can they confirm that or not? I don't think it was ever released as a single. And I'm not going to reiterate I'm not going to repeat what Damien had said about the 2 chords. He already hit that. I swear he had my notes in front of him. So I'm kind of rewriting notes as I'm going along. But I love the steel drums on top of it. Again, I'm back with the percussion and whatnot. Just that over top of the acoustic guitar. It's an amazing song. And again, agree with Damien. It's a great way for them to finish off the night, and it gets people back into a mood where, hey, they got to go back in their cars and they've got to drive back home. But it is a great way to end the night. So 10-9 for Jane Says.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now, and it says that it was the first chart entry on the alternative songs chart, but was never actually released as a single. It just got picked up by modern rock radio.
Hey, this is P.A. Turner from Lions Rock Productions. We create podcasts around here, and if you, your brand, or your company want to figure out how to do a podcast, just talk to me. I'll give you the advice on the right gear, the best plan, and show you how to take a podcast that makes sense for you, that's sustainable, that's scalable, and fun. Hit me up at pete@breakitdownshow.com. Let me help. I want to hear about it.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now, and it says that it was the first chart entry on the alternative songs chart, but was never actually released as a single. It just got picked up by rock radio. It totally makes sense. I mean, it really is. I think maybe next to Been Caught Stealing, it's probably their most popular song. You know, a 1-2 punch there. Hard to say which one is more popular, but they're both up there.
Radio friendly as well, so I think that it plays to the Jane's Addiction purists, but it also goes out to a wider audience, which makes it that much more popular.
Yep. I agree. I totally agree.
Yep. No, we're all in agreement again. Third round in a row where it was unanimous across the board, including CompuBox. And this takes us into the penultimate round, round 10, with a juggernaut, in my humble opinion, from the Foo Fighters. I Should Have Known, going up against Thank You Boys from Jane's Addiction. And Adam, you get to lead us off here.
Righty. I love Should Have Known. Should Have Known is an amazing song. As the drums in this, that rush sound, it almost has a jazz feel to it with the chord structure and progression. It's amazing. If Dave had a solo project, I want to do more of this, you know? I mean, this for me is so wheelhouse sound. And then you've got, you know, Thank You Boys, and it again, like Damien said earlier, with the opening of Up the Beach, it isn't a song. It is more of a just soundscape. It's fun. I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But in this particular instance, obviously, I think Should Have Known has got to get it 10-9 for me, for sure.
Okay, Hedstrom.
I agree with Adam. This Should Have Known is just a fabulously written song. It actually could have easily fit, because it was written after they did that Skin and Bones show where they did did the acoustic sort of show. This could have fit really well into that, which was also a lot of songs off of album 2, or the second album of the double album, In Your Honor. Grohl shows here that once again that he can do more than scream. It's just a fantastic song. I'd be interested to know how much influence Butch Vig put into this song, how much he actually suggested, or if this was all Grohl. And getting near the end of the song, you hear that Geddy Lee heavy bass tone, and I'm thinking, all right, way to go, Nate Mendel. And then come to find out that it's actually Chris Novoselic playing that bass line. And again, going back to that documentary, they show when he comes in and does that piece in there. Amazing, really good to see. This is an unfortunate battle for Jane's Addiction, because you've got Thank You Boys, which is almost like a hidden track, that little jazz interlude, and it's almost like a half track. So it's really unfortunate, but I had to go knockdown. I had to go 10-8 for I Should Have Known. It's just too big of a song, and Thank You Boys is just too much of a parody to actually go up against anything and even try to give it a 9. So it's definitely a knockdown for me.
Yeah, I should have gone 10-8. That's a good point.
Yeah. This was not an easy round for Jane's Addiction. I think they were a little cocky after 3 rounds in a row, and just walked into a fist.
Would they have changed it if they knew they were going up against a song like I Should Have Known?
I think they would have said thank you for the end, like the little kiss kiss goodnight at the end of the album, instead of closing with pigs.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think Dave or Perry give a shit about us and our show.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But it's always fun to think about how the song order means so much, and these guys never had any idea anyone was going to do something stupid like this. So, Damien, you get to finish us off for this round. Are we going to see another unanimous?
Yeah, I totally agree with Adam and Hedstrom. Like, this is a Nirvana song. Like, you have Dave, you have Chris Novoselic, and also you have Pat Smear, who played with Nirvana in their last years or so. So this is definitely dedicated to Kurt Cobain's suicide, and you can feel Dave's pain, but also his anger here. And I know how it feels to lose a close friend in a suicide, so I really connect with this one. So this going against Thank You Boys is, I was like, what? I mean, I tried to get the joke, and I read that this song was played live on occasion, typically while the band waited for Perry to be ready for the next song. I mean, the jazzy tune is not bad, but this is not for them. Like, they should have stick to 10 songs in the album and never put this one on it. Actually, Thank You Boys is not even a song, so the guest appearance of Chris Novoselic is unstoppable, and I'm so proud to announce that this is my first knockdown ever, so 10-8 for Foo Fighters.
Yeah, I was toying with the double knockdown on this one, to be honest, going 10-7 in my CompuBox score, but I went with just the single knockdown, just because Jane's doing something half-ass is better than most bands doing something full out. So Jane's Addiction goes back into their corner, gets some smelling salts, and Mickey from Rocky is telling him, "You gotta get back out there, Rock," because it is our final round. That's right. Fighters come back to the center, touch gloves, and let's head into round 11, where we have Walk going up against Pigs in Zen. For our final round, Hedstrom, as the veteran, you get to start us off.
This battle, actually, right in here, this round is basically a reverse of the battles in round 8 and 9. Here you've got just a complete hit from Grohl. At the beginning of the tune and Walk, I hear that little jangly kind of riff from that lesser-known Tal Bachman, who's the son of Randy Bachman, that song She's So High. If you listen to it, you kind of hear that a little bit, and I'm going, oh man, what do we got here? Come on now. I mean, even being Canadian, I'm going to try to support as much as I can, but this is going to sound cheesy, but no. Walk is a pure hit. It's catchy, it's got a hook, makes you move, you want to sing along to it. It's just another example that Grohl is a hit-making machine. Now, that being said, it's going up against Pigs and Zen. It's got a great bass hook. It's a fantastic song. The issue with it is well, I'll do my comparison thing again. I know you kind of get tired of it, but it's at the end of it sounds, or excuse me, the bass hook of it actually sounds like the end of ZZ Top's Cheap Sunglasses. You hear that doo-doo, doo-doo. It kind of sounds a little bit like that, which I thought was really cool. But I think that this battle actually at the end, it defines, or this round defines the battle. It's a mature band. It's the mature against the up and coming, and I had to go 10-9 Walk on this one, despite the fact that Pigs and Zen is a solid tune. Walk is just another one along with Rope, the one of the two really big hits on this album.
Fair enough. And definitely a hard round to judge. Damien, you get to do the middle assessment here for round 11. What you got?
I don't know where to start. Like, this was the hardest for me. Like, I changed my mind like 3 times while listening to this round. And let me start with Pigs and Zen. Like, I'm pretty sure that they were inspired by probably Fate No More here, because this song sounds like Fate No More, but obviously no one can copy Mike Patton. But Perry sticks to himself in his expression, and the guitar riff is so good. But when will guitar players stop being total douchebags? Like, will they ever stop playing solos? I hate solos. Like, this is probably because I'm frustrated with guitarists, because I'm a bassist myself. And I have suffered all my life with guys inspired by Dave Navarro and guys like him. Like, look at Foo. They have like 3 guitarists and they hardly even solo. Like, And this goes against a walk. Like, this is the perfect ending of the album. It's one of my favorite songs of Foo's. And I mean, the build-up is so good and the message is so powerful. This comes after I Should Have Known. And this is an anthem of healing optimism. So I'm pretty sure that this song helped a lot of people climb out of depression. And Walk is not incidentally one of their best songs and most popular, of course. And that I Never Wanna Die like makes me cry every time I hear it. Like, I think that the whole band gives 100% here in this song. And it was really hard, but Walk 10-9.
Fair enough. The close rounds are the best rounds. Adam, you get to take us home here and let us know if this is going to be a unanimous round to end the fight.
Well, in the spirit of the fight, this one is not going to go out on a unanimous decision.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Man, guys, this was a war. These two cuts were just warring in my head back and forth. Walk is so good. It is so solid. And I agree, Damien, they play, they got 3 guitar players. They got a really full sound that way. Yeah. They don't solo, a lot. Even live, they don't solo a lot. Foo Fighters don't. But with Pigs and Zen, it is so, to me, it's just hardcore, man. I got written down here, nasty, funky face punch. I mean, that's what Pigs and Zen is for me. I love the lyrics. I love the guitar solos. To me, again, this song displays a bit more artistry than does Grohl's hit-making machine, because he is that. He can absolutely construct a song. But I really appreciate the way Pigs and Zen is structured. I love songs that are built with bridges and guitar solos. I'm sorry, I grew up on older music, and I like it when songs have bridges. They are longer songs, but still. The solo work on this was fantastic. I got it 10-9 in a super tough round. Pigs and Zen takes it from me.
And with that, we have a finished fight. Before we review the judges' scores and announce the winner, let's go to Richard for our post-fight analysis and see how the numbers came out. Richard, what do the numbers tell us?
Okay, and as like the numbers had kind of predicted, this one ended up being close, and it did end up being a split decision. So Jane's Addiction did come through. In fact, the very interesting thing here is even though Foo Fighters win 2 of the 3 rounds, when it comes to total score, Jane's Addiction actually was ahead by 1 point. Now then when you factored in unofficial cards, it turned out that Foo Fighters just squeaked by like a point. So it's not surprising. This is kind of where the numbers were looking. These are always fascinating when you have very, very popular albums versus very, very critically acclaimed albums. No real surprises here. I think the guys did a great job of going over the rounds and everything. And really when it comes to bands like Jane's Addiction, who I think, we all dig and everything, they are also a little bit divisive in that some people really, really love them and other people like them. If that makes any sense to you, because it really seemed like one judge really favored Jane's Addiction in this situation as opposed to Foo Fighters. And Foo Fighters, to be perfectly honest, can be the same way too. Some people really, really dig them, and some people are like, oh, okay, they're good. So this was a fascinating one. I always like to see it when the numbers kind of hit the nail on the head. Let's see what's going on for next week. Back to you guys. This was a fun one.
Yeah, exactly, Richard. Let me go through it in a bit more detail now. We have what we call a split decision, folks, and what that means is we have a winner, but not every judge agreed. We have 2 judges giving it to Foo Fighters and 1 judge giving it to Jane's Addiction. So we do have a winner, but not by a unanimous decision. Jane's Addiction wins 1 judge, Adam, 107 to 102, so pretty lopsided there. And Foo Fighters, while not every round matches, the scores do, 105 to 103 for both Hedstrom and Damien. So what we really have here is a very close fight. When you add up the scores, it was 313 to 312.
Ooh, it was that close. That's fantastic.
So yeah, the scores are within 1 point of each other, and Jane's actually won in the points by that 1 point. But unfortunately, the way this works is, judges' decisions win the fight. So a very close... Oh, sorry, pause for a second. Thank you. Hedstrom, you'll be happy to know that my son just brought me a plate of bacon.
Very nice.
Awesome.
Well done. Well done, young man.
Raising him right. Like, well done.
Everything's better with bacon. That's why it's at the end of my name.
Okay, so Adam, you are the one detracting vote here for Jane's Addiction. How did Jane's win it for you?
For me, the separating factor for the band was, I really came down to artistry, musicianship, and in a lot of aspects, I feel like, we hadn't really talked about this much, but I feel like Nothing Shocking is almost a concept album. The way it's built, the way it intros, the way they even worked in, like, Thank You Boys, even though it's in a weird spot, the way they put it in there with the background sounds and everything else, kind of bringing that live feel of a live show to the album itself. The way they produce this and the guitar work and everything else, for me, is what put this over the top. Mountain Song, Idiot Rules, and Jane Says right there, 1, 2, 3, toward the end of the album is what put it over the top for me against Back and Forth, Matter of Time, and Miss Misery.
Fair enough. This was not an easy one. And again, I say that I'm a CompuBox only, but my score was almost exactly the same as Damian's and Hedstrom's, so just barely in favor of the Foo Fighters. And I could have gone either way on several of these, so I hear you totally. Hedstrom, you gave this in a very narrow victory to the Foo Fighters. Why is that?
You're definitely a lot more narrow than I thought it would be. I got to say, before I get to that, I was very happy to see that Thank You Boys didn't hinder Jane's Addiction too much. I mean, it still made it a fair battle, but I said it before and I'll say it again. It's just, it's a mature Foo Fighters album, and it's got a little bit of everything. It's got hits, it's got a little bit of change, and I think for me, what really put it over the top was that White Limo song. Damian mentioned it. I love Probot. Probot is one of my, if I have a, Probot is actually on my Desert Island list of 10 albums. I love that album, and it was great to see him go that route, and I was really, really pleased to hear Damian felt the same with that. So I would say that something like that really, really puts it over the top, and to have two big hits like Rope and Walk, just a phenomenal Foo Fighters album, and big surprise to me. Like I said, I thought that Jane's had it from the beginning, but do the work and you see what comes out. So it was a close battle, but yeah, definitely the Foos took it for me.
Okay, and Damian, you get to close out the post-fight here. You thought from the start that Foo Fighters were going to win just based on your being such a big fan of the band. But Jane's was pretty close on your scorecard, only 2 points away. So do we have a renewed respect for Jane's Addiction? How do you think the fight went overall?
Actually, I'm shocked how close this was. Not only from me, like for all. Yeah, I'm more of a Foo Fighters guy, but Jane's Addiction were definitely ahead of their time with their album, and there are some tunes in the album that are not put into there with any logical explanation, like the one Thank You Boys. But what you're gonna do, they're probably pretty experimental band, and this is their first studio album after that, a live recording at the Roxy Theater in Los Angeles. And Foo Fighters, on the other hand, this is their 7th studio album, and this is produced by Butch Vig. This guy produced Nevermind by Nirvana and Dirty by Sonic Youth. So, I mean, this guy knows his job. He did a great job along with Dave and the other guys from Foo Fighters. And I thought that Foo Fighters will crush Jane's Addiction, but I was so wrong. It was so close.
Nothing shocking.
Yeah, that is true. Nothing shocking, and we've been on for a while, so we're wasting light.
Boom. Nicely done.
Yeah. And
I think it was the bacon. I think the bacon inspired you.
Yeah, that's a good note to kind of close us out here. As a disclaimer, and someone on the show always does this disclaimer, we may, from time to time, say something not so nice about some of the songs, but that's what we have to do as judges. The reason these albums are in the ring is that A, we love music, and B, we love these albums. They have to be good to make it into the ring in the first place. And we really have to pick nits to come up with a winner for each round because ties are for losers. That's right. So we appreciate music. That's why we do Album Fight. And we're hoping that the listeners can learn about new music and go out and give these a spin, give them a listen, download them, buy them if you still buy CDs, support the artists. That's one of the other things that we really want Album Fight to do. So I will thank the three of you once again for coming on the show. And I'm hoping to have each and every one of you back on sometime in the near future, judging another fight. We have a few great ones lined up, and I'm certainly hoping to hear from each of you again.
Thanks so much, Mike. Thanks so much for having me. Great to chat with you guys. This was a total blast, and I can't wait to do it again. You guys rock.
Thanks.
Agree 100%. Was a lot of fun. Thanks, guys. Good to talk to you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me. It was awesome.